The American Heavyweight Championship was the top title in the Dallas territory of the National Wrestling Alliance, which came to be known as World Class Championship Wrestling in 1982. The belt was worn by some of the biggest names in professional wrestling, as well as some names that may have been a little lost over time. We'll take a look at every title holder in the almost quarter century of the belt, which will include the predecessor and successor to the American Heavyweight Championship. This is just a glorified list, and we won't spend too long talking about each and every title reign, as that would take far too long, but we will slow down and take a look at some interesting notes along the way. I might also add, you may have to forgive some of my pronunciation at times, as there are some wrestlers here I'm not overly familiar with. Originally, the title was the Texas version of the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship. The history began with a top contenders match on June 6, 1966, with Fritz Von Erich defeating Bruiser Brody to crown a new champion. Of course, Fritz Von Erich is a name you'll hear a lot over the next few minutes. In 1966, he had become part owner of the Dallas territory, but was still working as a heel. Von Erich would only hold the belt for 3 days before dropping it to Johnny Valentine. After 56 days, on August 4, 1966, Von Erich regained the title and held it going into 1967, turning babyface along the way. Bruiser Brody would get a turn with the championship. Records are unclear exactly when Bernard took the title, but it was likely around March 22, 1967. Bernard did drop the belt back to Fritz on March 27th in Fort Worth. In his third turn with the belt, Fritz had by far the longest reign to that point, holding the title for 375 days before losing on April 5, 1968 to the Spoiler, then managed by Von Erich's longtime rival Gary Hart. The Spoiler is officially listed as having won the belt, but officials stripped him of the title and vacated the championship due to interference in the match by Hart. A rematch was scheduled between Spoiler and Von Erich on June 3rd in Fort Worth, at which time the name of the championship was officially changed to the NWA American Heavyweight Championship. Fritz defeated the Spoiler in the rematch, giving him his 4th title reign overall. Fritz lost the title to Kenji Shibuya on July 12, 1968, but won the championship back 14 days later on July 26th in Houston. Von Erich enjoyed a 251-day title reign before dropping the belt to Baron von Raschke in Corpus Christi, Texas on March 4th, 1969. That started a little bit of a hot potato stretch, with Fritz winning the title back 14 days later, also in Corpus Christi. Johnny Valentine became the first person not named Fritz Von Erich to hold the title more than once, beating Von Erich in Houston on May 2nd, 1969. 3 weeks later in Houston, Fritz won the title back again, but dropped it to Valentine 17 days later in Fort Worth. After 56 days, Von Erich got the American Championship back in Fort Worth, but his 8th overall reign only lasted 1 day, as the title was held up due to interference in the match by Wahoo McDaniel. The title stayed vacant 77 days before Von Erich finally won the rematch on October 21st, officially making him a 9-time champion. Von Erich held the title 94 days until Valentine won the belt back on January 23, 1970 in Houston. 21 days later, Fritz won the title back in Houston, bringing an end to one of Von Erich's greatest feuds of the late 60s and early 70s. The title does enter some unclear territory going into the summer of 1970, as several different sources tell a different story. Some sources say Boris Malenko defeated Fritz for the American Championship on May 18, 1970 in Fort Worth. Others say Malenko defeated Von Erich on May 18th, but was then immediately stripped of the title, which was held up for 15 days. Still others say Fritz vacated the title, and Malenko won it in a tournament final over Mel Mascaras on May 18th, and held it for 15 days. I couldn't find any information on why Fritz would have vacated the title, or why Malenko would have been stripped of the title, or records of a tournament to crown a new champion. One thing all sources agree on is Boris Malenko won the title on May 18th in Fort Worth, and Fritz Von Erich won it back on June 2nd in Dallas. So let's just go with that. However he got the title for an 11th time, Fritz held the belt for 199 days, losing to Toru Tanaka on December 18, 1970 in Houston. Tanaka's first title reign lasted 66 days before he dropped the belt back to Von Erich in Fort Worth. 1 day later, Von Erich lost the title back to Tanaka in Dallas. Tanaka held the title 10 more days before losing it to Wahoo McDaniel on March 5, 1971 in Houston, sparking a feud over the belt. McDaniel held the title for 285 days until the Spoiler re-entered the title picture. Winning the belt from McDaniel on December 15, 1971 at Texas Death Match in San Antonio, the spoiler made heavy use of the title, not changing hands on a disqualification, as most of his defenses ended in him losing by DQ as he held the belt into June 1972. Finally, at the 1972 Parade of Champions at Texas Stadium, Billy Red Lyons took the title. Lyons' reign lasted 44 days, dropping the belt to Johnny Valentine on August 7, 1972 in Corpus Christi. Valentine's fifth and final time to hold the championship lasted 237 days, ending when he left for Japan, and the title changed hands in what was likely a phantom match in Chicago, Illinois, against the Missouri Mauler on March 2, 1973. Mauler actually had a lengthy reign, holding the American title for 158 days. Mauler dropped the belt to Fritz Von Erich on August 7, 1973 at the Sportatorium in a best 2 out of 3 falls match. Von Erich held the belt for 231 days until he dropped the title to the Texan, who was Blackjack Mulligan, at the 1974 Parade of Champions in Dallas on March 26th. Von Erich won the title back 21 days later in Dallas and began a 228-day reign. The title would be held up again on November 30th, 1974 after a match between Fritz Von Erich and Blackjack Lanza that carried the stipulation that the match must be won via the claw hold. For those that may not know, Lanza also used the claw, as did Blackjack Mulligan and the Spoiler. When neither Von Erich or Lanza could win via the claw, the title was left vacant for 28 days before Fritz defeated Lanza in a rematch in Dallas on December 28th. Von Erich's 15th title reign not only carried things into 1975, but well beyond. Fritz had a 737-day title reign, which is the longest of any incarnation of the title. Fritz defended in rematches against Blackjack Lanza, as well as Stan Hansen, Lord Alfred Hayes, Moondog Mayne, and Mad Dog Vachon, as he took the American Championship in 1977. Finally, Fritz dropped the belt to one of his protégés who debuted 3 years earlier under his real name of Frank Goodish. Bruiser Brody ended the long title reign, defeating Fritz on January 3, 1977 in Atlanta, Georgia. There's a very strong likelihood this was also a phantom match, as Brody was still appearing in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation at the time, and wouldn't make an appearance in Dallas until early February. Brody's first run with the belt would officially last 99 days, before he lost it back to Fritz on April 12, 1977. 1 day later, Brody took the title back, holding Fritz to a roughly 24-hour reign. Brody held the American title another 103 days before losing it to Captain USA, who was Big John Studd, on July 25, 1977, in Fort Worth. Ox Baker added his name to the list of champions on September 30th, defeating the Captain in Houston, Texas. The year would end with the belt around Fritz Von Erich's waist for the 17th time, when he defeated Baker on December 12th in Fort Worth. That started a 273-day title reign for Von Erich, coming to an end on September 11, 1978, when he dropped the belt back to Bruiser Brody. Brody's third American title reign lasted 105 days, and the end was a sign of the passing of the torch from Fritz to his sons. Kevin Von Erich defeated Brody on Christmas Day in 1978 at Will Rogers Memorial Auditorium in Fort Worth. Kevin's first title reign came to an abrupt end in yet another phantom match, as the Spoiler is credited with defeating Kevin on April 1, 1979 in Puerto Rico. The Spoiler was actually at a house show tagging with Mark Lewin on April 1, 1979, while Kevin was in the middle of a month-long break for undisclosed reasons. The Spoiler's third title reign lasted 42 days, ending with a loss to Wahoo McDaniel in Houston on May 13th. McDaniel's second go-around with the belt ended on June 2nd, also in Houston, when he dropped the belt back to the Spoiler. 64 days later, the Spoiler lost the belt to El Halcon in Dallas, but regained the championship for a fifth time after defeating Halcon on October 7, 1979, also in Dallas. The Spoiler's fifth title reign came to an end at the hands of former partner and Gary Hart's stablemate Bruiser Brody on November 30th. Turning babyface and feuding with Hart's stable, Brody held the belt for 33 days and officially lost it to Ox Baker on January 2, 1980 in San Francisco. As you may have guessed, this was another phantom match, as Brody had just begun a tour of Japan on January 2nd. Kevin Von Erich got his second run with the American title after defeating Baker just 10 days later in Dallas. Kevin dropped the belt 99 days later to Toru Tanaka on April 20th in Dallas, but regained the championship just 8 days later in Fort Worth. Just 3 weeks later, on May 19, 1980, Kevin dropped the belt to Gino Hernandez, giving the handsome half-breed his first run with the belt. Gino's first title run lasted 74 days, ending with a loss to El Hell Khan in Houston on August 1st, 1980. 2 weeks later, Gino regained the belt and held it for another 127 days, until a controversial ending to a match against Kerry Von Erich led to Gino being stripped of the title. A rematch was set between Gino and Kevin for December 28th at the Sportatorium, but an injured Kevin was not cleared to wrestle. Instead, Gino faced Kevin's brother Kerry, who defeated Gino to win the American Championship for the first time. Kerry enjoyed a 134-day title reign, losing the belt to Ernie Ladd on May 11, 1981 in Fort Worth. Kerry regained the title on June 7th at Reunion Arena in Dallas, starting another 110-day run with the title. The Great Kabuki brought Kerry's reign to an end on September 25, 1981 in Lawton, Oklahoma. This was the first time the title changed hands outside of Texas in an actual match. However, Kabuki's run ended after 92 days, with a loss to Bugsy McGraw in a Phantom match in Columbus, Ohio, on December 26th. McGraw held the title until February 22, 1982, when he dropped the belt to Kerry in Fort Worth. Kerry's third reign with the title lasted 72 days, and came to an end with a loss to King Kong Bundy in Lawton, Oklahoma on May 4, 1982. Bundy had originally been an ally of the Von Erichs, going by the name Big Daddy Bundy, but turned on his mentor Fritz and aligned himself with Gary Hart. This set things up for the 1982 Star Wars Super Bowl of Wrestling, more commonly referred to as the Fritz Von Erich retirement card, held at Texas Stadium on June 14th. This was the first card held under the territory's new name of World Class Championship Wrestling. Fritz defeated Bundy for the title, pinning him in the end zone of Texas Stadium to win the championship one last time, including reigns as the Texas version of the United States Heavyweight Championship that gave Fritz a record 18 title reigns in total. In storyline, fans were told that since Fritz retired after the match, the NWA awarded the belt back to Bundy, though Fritz's title reign would be recognized as being 1 day. Bundy held the title for another 83 days before losing it to Kerry Von Erich on September 6, 1982 in Fort Worth. Kevin held the belt until January 21, 1983, when he dropped the belt to Terry Gordy in the first few weeks of the Von Erich Freebird feud that started the previous month. Kevin regained the title from Gordy on March 4th in Dallas to begin his 5th title reign. The title would be vacated on July 11th after Kevin's defense against Jimmy Garvin ended with interference from Garvin's valet Sunshine. In a rematch on July 25th in Fort Worth, Garvin won the title, giving him his first run with the belt. Garvin held the title for 122 days, losing to Chris Adams at the 1983 Thanksgiving Star Wars card on November 24th in Dallas. Adams received an assist from Garvin's former valet Sunshine, who had been dumped by Garvin in favor of a new valet, Precious. Adams lost the belt back to Garvin at the 1983 Christmas Star Wars at Reunion Arena on Christmas Day, but Adams regained the title on January 30th, 1984, in a steel cage match in Fort Worth. The title changed hands between the two one more time when Garvin defeated Adams for the title on April 2nd in Fort Worth. Garvin's third and final time holding the belt ended with another Phantom match as he was preparing to leave the territory, and what was reported as a match in San Juan, Puerto Rico on May 18, 1984, Gino Hernandez began his third reign with the belt. Hernandez kept the title until August 4, 1984, when he was scheduled to defend against Kerry Von Erich in Dallas. Travel issues prevented Kevin from making it to the Sportatorium, so Kevin's brother Mike Von Erich substituted and won the belt. With Mike's win, that meant of the 4 Von Erich brothers who wrestled in the territory, only David never won the American Heavyweight Championship. Mike held the title for 30 days, losing it back to Gino Hernandez on September 3, 1984 in Fort Worth. Gino's third and final title reign lasted 56 days, ending with a title loss to Kerry Von Erich on October 29th, also in Fort Worth. Kerry took the belt into 1985, losing it on February 8th in Dallas to Chris Adams, who by that time had turned heel and was feuding with the Von Erichs. Adams held the title for 147 days before dropping the belt to Iceman King Parsons on July 5, 1985 in Dallas. Parsons held the championship for 122 days, ending in what turned out to be a significant title loss to Rick Rude on November 4, 1985 at Will Rogers Memorial Coliseum in Fort Worth. When Rude won the belt, it would be the last time the title changed hands as the American Heavyweight Championship. Kicking off the February 21, 1986 edition of the World Class Syndicated show, Ken Mantell announced World Class was breaking away from the National Wrestling Alliance and was now the World Class Wrestling Association. The American Heavyweight Championship was now being recognized as the WCWA World Heavyweight Championship, officially making Rude the first world champion of the company. All told, Rude's title reign lasted 242 days until he lost the now world championship to a once again babyface Chris Adams at the Independence Day Star Wars card on July 4, 1986 in Dallas. Adams kept the belt for 73 days, leading to one final Phantom match. Adams abruptly left World Class, so fans were told he lost the title to Black Bart in a defense on September 15th in Los Angeles. According to Bart, they simply walked up prior to a TV taping and dropped the belt on his bag, saying, "You're the champ now." Bart officially held the title for 27 days, losing it to Kevin Von Erich at the Cotton Bowl Extravaganza on October 12, 1986 in Dallas. Kevin's victory began the longest single title reign as the World Championship, with Von Erich holding the belt for 313 days. The long title reign came to an end as Kevin was transitioning somewhat into semi-retirement. After the death of Mike Von Erich, Fritz gave control of running the promotion over to Kevin, who was set to defend against Al Perez on August 21, 1987, in Dallas. It was announced Kevin was unable to defend due to injuries, and Perez was declared the winner by forfeit and awarded the belt. Perez held the world title for 198 days, losing it to Kerry Von Erich on March 6, 1988, at the Sportatorium in Dallas. Kerry held the title for just 19 days before controversially losing the belt to Iceman King Parsons, who is now a heel aligned with a new version of the Freebirds. During our match on March 25th, the lights in the Sportatorium suddenly went out. When they came back on, Von Erich was motionless in the ring, and Parsons pinned him to win the title. Kerry regained the title by defeating Parsons at the 5th and final Memorial Parade of Champions at Texas Stadium on May 8, 1988. Entering the final days of World Class leading up to the merger with the Continental Wrestling Association, a nod of respect was given in Japan. It happened to accompany a glimpse of things to come. Kerry lost the belt to Tatsumi Fujinami on December 9, 1988 in Tokyo, when the referee declared Von Erich couldn't continue because he was bleeding too heavily. The next day, Fujinami returned the belt, refusing to accept it because of the way the match ended. Von Erich was then reinstated as WCWA World Champion, but Fujinami's one-day title reign was recognized as part of the history of the title. On December 13, 1988 at Super Clash 3 in Chicago, Illinois, Kerry faced AWA World Champion Jerry Lawler in a Unification match. The match ended when the referee decided Kerry was bleeding too heavily to continue and awarded the match to Lawler. Lawler kept the belt and was recognized as the USWA Unified World Heavyweight Champion, though WCW was still its own active company at the time. The WCWA World title was declared vacant after an April 5, 1989 match between Lawler and Von Erich, ending in a double disqualification, though Lawler continued to be recognized as the USWA Unified Champion. The last official title change happened on April 14, 1989 in Dallas, as Jerry Lawler defeated Kerry Von Erich at the Sportatorium. Lawler was declared the USWA World Heavyweight Champion, and the WCWA World Heavyweight Championship, for all intents and purposes, no longer existed. It was a long and storied history for a title that included 3 different names and 33 different wrestlers over the course of almost 23 years. Well, I hope you enjoyed taking a look at all the men who held this title. If you want more pro wrestling content, you can check out the playlist. For more World Class Wrestling, give World Class Bios a look, or check out one of the other videos on the channel. If you like to support the channel and help bring more content like this, you can buy me a cup of coffee by clicking the link to my coffee account in the description. Or you can just like, share, comment, subscribe, not necessarily in that order, and I will see you next time.